Well, so lately I've been asking myself, and this actually is something I've been thinking about for a long time. When I look at the monarchy or the royalty structure of Ghana, that's where I'm from, so I can speak to it. I don't know too much about that of other African countries, but let me speak to the royalty system or structure in Ghana. We grew up calling our royals, the kings and queens, we grew up calling them chiefs to the point we have National House of Chiefs. Now I'm thinking, why do we call our royals chiefs? Because when you look at the definition of a chief, he has nothing royalty to it. Chief actually is a title given to people in the corporate settings, in the corporate spaces. You have chief of staff, CEO, chief executive officer, COO, chief operations officer, chief editor, joint chief of staffs. Um, and so if you look at chief, the word chief or the title for the title is not a title, it's a word that's given to a title that's given that's given to people in positions, right? And so if you look at it, you realize, how is it that corporate titles are given to royals of Africa? Because we never had, in our languages, there's nothing like chief. How do you translate chief directly into Ga, Ewe, Akan, the Akan clan, which is the tree, just tree, or even the northern part of Ghana? How do you translate chief into any of these languages? Because there's no African, there's no Ghanaian language that directly translates to tree. I mean, sorry, to chief. And so, how did we come about that? Monarchy is our heritage as Africans. We've had monarchy forever, for generations. Europeans have monarchy too, but they don't call theirs chiefs. I have never seen a European royal called chief. Their titles are kings and queens, duchess, dukes, prince and princesses. We don't even have. We don't. How did we get here? And so we only have. We barely have kings in Ghana. There's only one person that is referred to as king in Ghana. But we have several kings. Remember, before democracy came, before we had all this democratical process, there were kings and queens that were ruling the land. Before it was a kingdom, it was an empire. We were kingdoms and empires. And we were ruled by kings and queens. And other royals, other people within the royal fold, which we will call prince and princess, but we had local names for them. Remember, we were not speaking English then. So before we spoke English, before we were taught how to speak English, the languages that we had, how did we call our royals? In Ewe, we call them either Togbi or Efia, which directly translates to king. In Gan, it's Ni or Na. In Akan, from the Akan community, which is a Tree language, it is Nana or Ohene. And then in the northern part of Ghana, it is Na, right? Na. So no, Yana, sorry, Yana. So Yana translates to king, right? So where in between that, where is chief? What is the meaning of chief in any? How would you, if you're an Ewe or Gan or a Khan, how would you say chief in Akan? What is the word for chief? We don't have a translation for it. There is no word. Is zero. There's no existence. There's not an existence of a word that directly translates to chief, whether in Gan, Tree, Akan, Gan, Ewe, Akan, the northern languages, zero, zilch. And so I'm just asking these questions. And I think that as a people, we must come to a realization that something was done to us. Our history, our very existence was distorted, and we were taught otherwise. And so we need to start looking into who we are, where we are from. We must understand that our very existence goes beyond the villages that we are from. So if you're an Akan or Ewe or Gan person, your village, the village that you know your grandfathers are from, it's not the beginning of your people. It's not the source. It goes way beyond. And we need to start finding out what that is. Because this thing we've been calling our chiefs is, I believe, it's not right. We are disrespecting and denigrating and degrading this very high office, this very high power structure that once ruled the entire civilization of African people or Black people. And now we call it chief. I can be a chief. I'm a chief executive of my company. Everybody, a lot of people are chiefs in their offices, in their workspaces. And we call them and we compare these to this very high revered spaces of royals who rule over people and land, tradition and culture of a great people. I think we're twisting it. We definitely got it wrong. And whoever taught us to call our kings chiefs was misguided, misleading, and was meant to confuse us. And so we are confused. One way or the other, we are confused. We must accept it. Because how would we call, and to the point where, because we are, the point where we call some paramount chief. What is the meaning of paramount? Paramount means overall. So how do we call some paramount chiefs and others chiefs? Even in the Bible, right? For those of you who are Christians and religious people, there's never been a mention of a chief relating to kings, relating to royals, or relating to the monarch system that were depicted in the Bible. There's never been one. So if there is not a chief in the history of monarchy or royals, when did that chief become our story as Africans? It's used in Nigeria, it's used in Ghana, I think it's used in Togo and other West African countries. No, we don't have chiefs, we have kings. These are kings because English is here to stay. We speak English now. So anywhere we refer to our kings, we should call them kings. They're not chiefs because chief is not a royal title. It has no connection to it. And we cannot have a national house of chiefs in Ghana. They're not chiefs. They're not chief executives. These are royals. And if you translate that directly from our languages to English, it is king. Thank you. And I think we need to do something about what has been taught us versus the originality of our own story and our own history as a people. Senna, aka Alinko, the Progressive Mind Show host. Stay tuned for more.